quite fitting I've got the esports shirt on, really, isn't it? Now, like it or not, esports is a thing. And I was privileged enough to be part of the esports boom when Coffee Boy hit our shores about 12 months ago, getting to race against ex-F1 drivers, DTM champions, Le Mans winners, and a BTCC driver, to name drop a few. But it's also big business, and it has been for some time, because StarCraft esports has been a thing for well over a decade, if not 2 decades, and esports teams like FaZe in Call of Duty are well known. But in this glorious world of sim racing, there are teams out there like Burst Esports, Roman Grosjean Esports, the Jean Lacy Esports Academy, and of course, Zanzhou. And every single one of these esports racing teams, much like their real life counterparts, is going to look for every trick in the book to get that extra half-tenth or so, to the point where they'll exploit gaps in the game's physics engines just to do so. And this is something that's been discussed at length on the forums and Discord a lot. Now, if you are interested in sim racing, you may have seen Ermin Hamidovich's video called Is rFactor 2's Physics Broken?, where he tried the favourite esports setup hacks to go faster. Things like minimal tyre pressures, detached anti-roll bars, that sort of thing. And it did make him go quicker. But as with a lot of these videos, there are holes in the argument, like getting used to the car and the track and all that stuff, but the point remains, these hacks do exist. Now, this isn't going to be me dissecting Ermin's video and telling several thousand people he's right or wrong, nor am I going to sit here and go, rFactor 2 broken, iRacing and ACC better, because it's not like those other sims have problems with their physics engines as well. All I'm doing, besides doing the esports pose, is just looking at this from the esports competitor's perspective. Not that I'm an alien or anything. And just the other day, I was directed to a video on Twitter where a driver in iRacing, a well-known driver in iRacing, was in the pit lane at Interlagos with his left and right foot simultaneously buried on the gas and brake pedal. It's a trick in iRacing that heats the brakes and the tyres without affecting the actual tyre pressures. Now, in real life, this is something you'll see drivers in Formula 1 doing all the way down to domestic touring car series all over the world, dragging the brake while you're travelling in a straight line, because the heat from the brakes radiates into the tyre gets warmer as a result, then the heat in the tyre and pressures increase, and so on and so forth. And Assetto Corsa Competizione does a very, very good job of this. So you can say, well, that's what Max Verstappen's doing on the formation lap at Monaco, but he doesn't effectively do a standing burnout to heat his tyres and brakes. Now, in the simulated world, we naturally want as close to a realistic experience as possible because, let's be honest, the reason most of us do this is because we're failed racing drivers. We live our lives through simulation because it's the only time we'll ever get to drive an LMP1 around Le Mans or take Niki Lauda's Ferrari to the Nordschleife. So you can probably understand why people feel the need to get vocal when there is stuff you can do in these sims that you can do in every car, at every track, and get the same results. Because it's not realistic. These exploits, whether it's detached anti-roll bars, maximum tow on the rear, the standing burnout trick, or whatever, they're found in all of the sims. So let's not just pretend that it's rFactor 2 or just iRacing or just Gran Turismo. It's all of them. There was one in Grand Prix Legends, I think it was lower the ride height and just have the thing running on the Packers, or words to that effect. There's bound to be setup hacks in Richard Burns' Rally as well, and these are two sims that are still, to this day, put on a pantheon for godlike physics. And I can only assume that translating physics from the real world to the e-world is very, very complicated, because physics in real life can't be tricked. For instance, I'm kept in this chair because of gravity. I can't fiddle with that. Every action has an equal to opposite reaction, as Newton once said, or in sim racing, every action by a developer has an equal to opposite user base overreaction. I've put the hoodie on because I'm cold. There will be holes in code. There will be gaps in the system. It's a computer. How many times have you had a bug in a piece of software and you've tricked it into working using workarounds? And more to the point, how many Formula 1 teams have taken a look at the rulebook and figured out how to trick that rulebook? Braun, Williams and Toyota in 2009 had their famous double diffuser. They took a look at the rulebook and went, I'm allowed a diffuser with these dimensions. Doesn't say how many I'm allowed to have. That was then banned, and the team started bringing in the blown diffuser, and the FIA put a stop to that as well. So the teams figured out how to get their downforce back using other means. And it's the same with esports. And the reason I'm saying esports is because that's where the competition and the money is. If iRacing or Studio 397 patch the current known exploits, you can bet your bottom dollar that the drivers and the teams are going to find new ones. You can stop what they're currently doing, but to think it will go away is naive and borderline delusional that everybody will start driving a car like a real car should be driven. As it stands, rFactor 2 has a tyre model that's too forgiving, that you can drift cars to go faster. Just look at the Formula E stuff. But then in iRacing, you've got a tyre model that kills you if you get even more than half a degree of throttle rotation. In an ideal world, it would be somewhere in the middle. And just as a side note, I'm not slagging off rFactor 2 or iRacing. I enjoy both. I'm driving them both. I'm practicing for the Daytona 24. Is what the esports teams are doing realistic? Of course not. Is it cheating? No. Is it in the spirit of competition? Probably not. But is it worth a potential 0.002 of a second per lap? Yes. And that's why they do it. I mean, Roger Penske's been after the unfair advantage for about half a century, and esports drivers don't care that what they're doing is unrealistic or not. They care about going as fast as humanly possible. And short of illegal .dll files, these setup hacks are the best way to do it. If it makes it easier to lob a car into the corner, go for it. If it makes the tyres last half a lap longer, sure. But they really don't care about the realism. It's almost like what I said on the last video where I was talking about the sport versus entertainment thing. Liverpool, Mercedes, Real Madrid, whoever, they don't care about being entertaining. They care about winning. As one person on the rFactor 2 forums put it, you're not driving a car. You're driving a spreadsheet. You're driving a bunch of zeros and ones. It looks like a car, it sounds like a car, but it isn't a car. All you're doing is driving a computer that is following the rules of what its programming allows it to do. And no simulator, driving or flying or otherwise, has a one-to-one rendition of physics that follows Newtonian laws. If detaching an anti-roll bar running maximum rear toe makes a car go faster, then that's what they're going to do. Because, like I say, they're just interested in winning. And they've got the rulebook in front of them, and they're just trying to find loopholes in this rulebook. The rulebook in this case is just the zeros and ones that makes up the software, whereas someone like Adrian Newey has a look at the rulebook and finds the loopholes in the actual writing. So I guess it is just like real life then. And I should point out as well that these pro esport sim racing driver people, they probably do want to see improvements in the physics engine, but they will still try to find these exploits. It's quite a weird paradox really, isn't it? I want a more realistic way of driving, but at the same time I want to be able to hack the system. Unfortunately, the realism that some people are looking for will never exist. That would require the code to be flawless, and that can't happen because humans. So what do you think? Is doing these hacks cheating the system and making a mockery of simulation, or would you do it too if it made you quicker? Leave your thoughts in the comments and get a discussion going, because that's what this series is about, even if I am looking at the virtual rather than the real world of motorsport. So if you've enjoyed the video, leave a thumb to the up, and if you want more, then hit subscribe so you get all the latest. Obviously, thank you very much to the patrons of this channel on Patreon. If you wish to join them, or join in the Discord stuff, or follow my shitposting on Twitter, then everything you need is in the description box for you. So until next time, I've been AdmiralLaWind. Have a cracking day wherever you live in the world, and I'll see you all again very soon for another video. So until then, goodbye. I really need to sort that bloody ring light out. Ow! It's like the Men in Black thing. Got my memory vaporised. Ugh. I never learn.